How's it going, everyone? It is Sam here with BFPGear.com, and today we're going to show you how to do some maintenance on your bolt system in the Planet Eclipse CS3. This has got to be arguably like the most popular paintball marker right now, and is arguably one of the most reliable ones, but it does require some servicing from time to time. So I've got my tech mat here, got our microfiber cloth, we've got some grease, and then of course I got tools just in case. You're not going to need them if you're just doing servicing on the bolt system, but it never hurts to have them. And we're going to see you after the intro. All right, got our CS3, got some grease, Allen keys just in case, and then a microfiber cloth. So start off with the simple stuff here. We're going to take the barrel off because we don't need it, and then just pop the whole bolt system out. And there it is. All right, we don't need the gun, and basically if there's any grease on the outside of the core here, just go ahead and, wipe it down. But the main pieces that we're going to focus on, this is your basic maintenance, is going to be this red piece, this orange gold piece, and the bolt itself. So just unthread the whole thing. And if the red piece comes with you, that's not a problem. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to take off, but that's kind of what these flat pieces are for, is to help gain a little bit of grip and like leverage on it. Let's see here, this doesn't want to, there we go. Oh, almost. So the red piece can be a little difficult to take off here. I don't know why this doesn't want to cooperate with me. Come on. There we go. Oh, thought I had it the first time. But if you ever have a problem with that, there's a reason why there's these flat edges here, so you can, use like a little, wrench or something and just squeeze it, hold it in place, and then you can pop the parts apart. But normally it's just this comes off. This doesn't need to, but if it does, there might be a little bit of a struggle. So basically the pieces you have here is your bolt can, you got your bolt itself, and then the red piece is the bolt guide. These are your main components that you just need to service and put a little bit of lubricant on. And it is one of the easiest things on earth, minus the struggle of separating these two parts, but it is what it is. So I start with the bolt guide here, and you just get a little bit of grease, and you just put on this back O-ring, get a little bit more grease, and just put on the front O-ring. This back one down here is just a bumper, so that way when the bolt goes over this, it's not hitting, just aluminum on aluminum. There's at least a little stopper there. And then as you saw there, that's basically the bolt action. I like to put just a little bit of lubricant on the inside of the bolt as well, just because as this cycles, this will coat these O-rings even more and just helps prolong the lifespan of them. And then with the bolt, there is this black O-ring back here. Might be a little difficult to see because the bolt itself is also black, but you just put lubricant on that back O-ring. And there is an O-ring in front of it. That's just a bumper because when this moves forward, it'll slam against this little lip on the inside of the bolt can, which that is the next part to lubricate, is this O-ring that's in here. You can get some O-ring, or sorry, some grease on the O-ring, I should say. And there might be some grease that goes behind it, but that's okay because when you push the bolt back in and to reinstall it, it just pushes some of that grease out. And now you have this really nice, smooth action. And then you would basically just reinstall everything as is and just thread it in, and that's your basic maintenance. But when it comes to the advanced maintenance, we get the rest of the core here. You have your spool, and there's this little guy that pops out here that sits in the very back where this red piece is. That's the switch. And getting to the switch is pretty simple. All you really got to do is just take this back piece off. This will thread off. And as you can see here, it's actually threaded the same way, or sorry, not the same way, but the thicker piece goes here, thinner piece goes to the front. So, because if you try to thread it, it's not going to work. So make sure when you put everything back together, the thicker piece here, this thicker silver or gray, I guess, that's the part that goes in here, not the other way around. So if you feel like you're, doing this in cross threading, you definitely are. Don't do that. So we'll set that there, and then we just need to get the switch out, and the switch can be popped out with an Allen key. You basically just kind of hook it in, and there's just like a little shelf, and then you just kind of pull up on it, and it should just pop right out. Yeah, just like that. And then you have the remainder of the bolt system there. You don't need to lubricate anything on the inside here. It's just going to be the switch itself. So let's go ahead and wipe that grease off. And let's get some new grease to apply to these O-rings. And you don't need to do this all the time. This is like a deeper clean. I'd probably recommend doing this every, I don't know, 50,000 shots maybe, 75,000 even. Like this part doesn't really move a whole lot. It doesn't need a lot of servicing. Oh, excuse me. But once you get done putting a little bit of grease on your switch here, you just pop it back in. It just sits right in. Easy, easy peasy. And now that we have that done, let's just go ahead and I'm just going to put this little piece back on because I don't want to forget about it. And that'll just thread in. You'll feel it get a little tough because of the O-ring that's in there. Just kind of tighten that down. And then let's go ahead and get a little bit of grease on our spool. So put a little bit right there, a little bit right there. And then one quick thing too about the spool is there's that little piston with the spring. This little guy here, sometimes that spring likes to fly off. If it does, make sure you get it because you need it. And then I just like to put this just aligns back in because it doesn't sit locked in place in the switch. So if you just let it sit in there and you try to, reinstall this thing and it's not sitting straight, well, best way to align it is just put it into the back of the spool. But I just put a little bit of grease on all the O-rings on the spool here, and then I also like to put on the front part of the spool because that does insert into the bolt guide. And there's a tiny O-ring in there, and just putting a little bit of lubricant there will help. So, sorry, I'm like clearing my throat. It's like allergy season for me. You just kind of push this back in place, and it sits pretty much nice and straight. It'll wobble, as you can see here, but you don't have to worry about that because when you start putting everything back together, it just kind of straightens itself out and just aligns. And that's exactly what we're going to do, is we're just going to thread everything back together. And it looks like I'm tightening just everything, so let's go ahead and give it a little nudge there. Cool. All right, that's snapping like it should. That's kind of what that spring does, is it helps the back cap snap in and out of place. And then the last thing we just need to do is get these O-rings on the outside of the core. So let's start with the front one here, and then let's go ahead and get these back three. And that's pretty much it for the CS3. I mean, it's real simple marker to take apart. Thing is just ultra reliable, bulletproof, and I mean, I don't know. Eclipse's reliability in these OP core markers are just something else. I mean it too, just something else. So we got some grease on all of our O-rings there. And let's go ahead and reinstall the core. And now there is just one thing left to do, and that is grab an air tank and the barrel silencer, and let's check our work. All right. So now that we have done a service on our bolt system for the Planet Eclipse CS3, it's time to check our work. So let's air it up. Got no leaks. Thing aired up flawlessly. Let's power it on. Just want to make sure the eyes work. They do. Eyes off, and moment of truth. That is beautiful. Absolutely just, God, this thing is so smooth. These guns just shoot incredibly smooth, and they are super reliable. But everything works. Everything is good to go. And that's pretty much how you do your basic maintenance on the CS3, and then a deeper clean on the bolt system as well. And if you need to pick up a CS3, or maybe you need to pick up some maintenance supplies, you can do that right now on BFPGear.com. These things are sick.